I almost stopped taking. I almost gave you the dick pills back.
Why?
My dick was getting too hard.
They say home is where the heart is, so I wonder why your motherfucker always feeling heartless.
We are back with episode 4 of Doubly Negative. Chris, as always, here with my friend Kyle.
What's up, Chris?
Nothing much. Just want to do some housekeeping quick. Just wanted to thank everyone who's reached out, given us positive feedback, people downloading and listening. It really helps us a lot. We would like to take this to the point where we have sponsors. So if you are digging what we're putting out, please download, subscribe, rate it, do all that. I really, really hate saying that. It's super cringe. Like I reached out to Pete the other day and I had said, hey, make sure you go and download all those episodes. And I felt like just such a brand whore almost.
Yeah, don't do that.
No. But it was just because it's Pete and he's a good friend of mine. So he'll do it and just like, you know, that group foo and stuff.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just support the podcast any way you can. I'm going to give out my account and routing numbers at the end of the episode. And you can send me any amount and that'll really help the podcast.
Yeah. If you donate $15 minimum, we'll put Gorilla Glue in Kyle's hair because he has hair that's nice and will grow back. Mine's on its way out. It is what it is.
Nope, we're not going to do that.
All right, so we're not going to do that, but who knows? Maybe we'll do a Patreon. I'm thinking maybe and record more content, even if it's just like solo stuff that we do. Like you could have like a little blog area.
Sure.
That could be Chrissy check-ins or something.
Or even just send gifts, you know, like I always like getting a gift more than money because like, do you remember we played poker at Pseudo's house and then Pete owed me like $10. So he just bought a soccer ball instead of giving me the $10 back. I like that. That
was very nice of Pete to do that. It was, yeah, we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good time. Speaking of social media, whoring yourself out on social media, I got a bone to pick with you.
Oh, girl. Okay.
I seem to be the only whore in this twosome.
What do you mean by that?
I'm posting a lot, not really a lot, actually even mostly from my personal account, which I'm sure people are starting to hate because I'm just posting it on both accounts and whoever follows both probably wants to kill me. But, you know, you drop a like on the photo. I don't think you posted about the podcast once. Tell me about it.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know. I go through big phases with social media. And it's like I either kind of enjoy posting and getting validation, getting a kick out of it.
Yeah.
Or I really just like feel grossed out by it and I don't like it. And I'm in the other kind of phase where I just don't like it. And I certainly could just send a post or whatever, but I just haven't felt like it.
And I feel like sometimes when you've been out of like the posting game for so long, like you don't know. I don't know. It just feels weird posting again.
Yeah.
And with the algorithm set up the way it is anyone going to see it anyway? Because who's looking at the Kyle profile if you're not posting anything?
Not many people, probably just like my sister, my mom, Pete, Steve.
Yeah, I felt kind of gross doing it, and I still do, but I'm going to do it anyway because I want this to go somewhere. I think it might have some traction, but it is looking for that validation, and it's something that I always like shit on, like, oh, you're just posting that for likes, you're just doing that for likes, and then I find myself doing the same exact thing that I'm like, oh, why are you selling yourself out like that? And I'm doing the same exact thing. I'm checking subscribers, I'm checking downloads. I'm literally asking you guys to download. Like I said, I talked to Pete, download. So it just feels gross, and I'm looking for that validation.
Yeah, social media is funny though, because I think it's a great thing if you use it the right way.
Yeah, of course.
And we went to talk about social media, and this is kind of my view, my really succinct view, right? Mm-hmm. I've watched all those documentaries, like the latest one was the Social Dilemma.
I haven't watched that. I've heard it was really fucking good.
Well, it's pretty simple and everybody knows the gist of it, but it's really well done. Everybody should watch it. But the basic gist of it is that social media is bad for us. It's bad for our brains. We get addicted to certain behaviors and it's just bad for us. But I think the distinction you can make with social media is whether you're creating content or consuming content, right? So if you're using Instagram or whatever, you're promoting yourself and it's doing something positive in your life, then that's a good way to use it. But I think the bad part is when you just spend hours of your day looking at it and not getting anything out of it.
It's like you're not using it as a tool, you're using it to fill time.
Mm-hmm. And I think part of my whole thing right now is I got to a really bad part. I went through a bad phase at the end of my last cycle of using social media, which is probably like October, November, where I was just on social media a lot every day. And then I kind of broke off from it and I don't really go on that much anymore. And posting kind of coincides with that.
Yeah.
Just feel less like it.
I just feel like I'm always craving new content, like constantly. If it's not social media, it's Reddit. I'm always just looking for something. and it kind of stresses me out because I think everyone's had that feeling where you leave the house without your phone and you're like, oh shit, should I go back? That wasn't a feeling people had before because it wasn't a supercomputer before. Now I use it to get literally everywhere. I have a supercomputer in my pocket and I feel like it's almost a crutch in a way now. Because if I don't have it, that dies. I'm like lost. And if I'm in an unfamiliar area.
Yeah, that's bad. I think that's just obviously bad. Getting addicted to content too, it's very clear to me that it's bad. There's different levels of content too, right? So
yes.
I would judge a content's badness by how much attention and focus you need to view it. So like a book, for example, is content. That requires a lot of focus though, so it's probably not going to hurt your brain at all. You could argue that it's an escape from regular life, that whatever, but nobody would really say that reading books is a bad thing.
No,
right?
No, it's been pushed on us since we were kids. You have to read, you have to read, you have to read.
And then like the next step would probably involve movies and stuff. Everybody likes to watch movies, but these days, have you noticed that sometimes it's hard to watch a movie?
Because my attention span's just not there.
Yeah, like every 10 minutes you'll check your phone because there's more. So what that is what entertainment is providing you more stimulation. And the ones that provide the most stimulation are also the ones that require the least focus. So those are like the crack cocaine of content. So you got books, which are like...
Weed,
yeah,
that's
maybe.
the weed. Yeah, it's a nice sativa.
Or even just like nutritional food. You could even view it like food, like... Yeah, well, you see what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's certain stuff that's not bad for you, and there's certain stuff that's bad for you. And the stuff like, it's getting worse and worse these days. Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, those are all like the really high stimulation factor in least content. I gotta say one thing. I fucking hate word porn. It is the worst form of writing.
Can you elaborate a little bit for the people who don't know?
Absolutely. So word porn is when people post basically like 2 lines and it's like literature to them. Like it'll be some stupid quote like, "You're worth it, he just doesn't see it."
Oh my God.
You know those like, just like, it's
Live,
like a
laugh,
picture
love.
of words, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
Like people don't read books anymore, they read this stuff.
Yeah, because it's quick.
Yeah, it's just like, if a book is the good form, this is just the worst form. You can't get anything profound or thoughtful within 2 lines.
No, and that's why I think TikTok and like Vine was so successful because that content is quick. I don't know, does TikTok cut off like 30 seconds, 60 seconds? I have no clue. I'm anti TikTok.
I don't know either. I think that's what it is. I think it's really short videos.
You want to know why it's called TikTok?
Why?
Because it's China saying, "You're fucking done." USA, TikTok.
Is that why?
No. But that's what I want to. That's my theory.
Yeah.
Time is almost up for you guys.
But that's what they say in the. Oops! I just spilled water on your floor. Sorry about that.
No worries. It's only water. We'll figure it out.
But that's what they say in The Social Dilemma, that documentary. Basically, that the companies that create social media, they figure out how to addict us. They figure out what is the most stimulating. Everything, like from just where the buttons are towards to how the content is displayed, and they optimize that. So they're creating more and more addicting stuff, and the whole goal is to keep you on their platform for longer. So if Instagram keeps you on for 6 hours, that's better than 5 hours and not as good as 7 hours. So they're purposely trying to figure out how to take as much of your life as possible.
Which just seems so fucked up. And it's so easy to fall into that trap because they are spending a lot of money on this research to find out what is appealing to people. Mm-hmm. So you just instantly look at the phone like, oh, this looks cool. The second people complain about the layout too much, they revert back. It's like, okay, people didn't like that. Blows my mind. And I don't think I can express enough how much hate I have for TikTok. Do you know how stupid you look mouthing someone else's words and doing a dance in front of your iPhone? It drives me batty. Have you ever seen someone making a TikTok?
Many.
Did you cringe the whole time?
I've been a part of a couple of them.
I have too. Not by choice. Gun to my head.
I didn't like it.
No, it's so uncomfortable.
It's not for us, dude.
As a 29-year-old man going on 30, I do not belong on TikTok.
We're not the demographic.
We have faces for podcasts, not TikTok.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think it's just we're too old for it. It's one of those things where
It missed us.
Snapchat almost missed me, but I ended up using it for a little bit.
Yeah, it was popular for a bit, but like all these social media platforms, I feel like they kind of come and go. Like MySpace was awesome. Now awful, something new came along. But Facebook has been pretty constant this whole time as far as like the front runner as far as social medias. And they're buying up all the other popular ones like Instagram and stuff.
Yeah.
Did you ever did you ever dive into Twitter at all?
I did not. That's the one that I think I would like, but I just never did it, and it never got me.
So I did a while back in the day, and I tried getting back into it as recently as a couple months ago, and then I just thought to myself, who the fuck cares what I have to say? And it's ironic that I say that while recording a podcast. Because I'm just...
Very ironic.
Yeah, so maybe in my head I was like, I have so much to say, this character limit isn't going to hold me down. I'm going to record myself for an hour.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, different people just express themselves in different mediums, obviously. All the way towards like painters like to paint instead of write or act. It's just many different ways to do it.
Social media breeds a terrible kind of expression. People are behind a keyboard thinking they don't have consequences for the things they're going to say, or it just, and always looking for that validation, like, oh, I'm not getting the likes that they're getting. Am I not as popular? Am I not as attractive? This person has lip injections. Maybe I should do that. I need to work out harder. And it's just like, be yourself. Stop posting things that make your life look way better than it actually is, because no one's life is as good as it looks on the internet.
It's tough, though. I'm going to come back at that. I just want to go back to Twitter for 1 second.
Okay.
Because I remembered something that kind of amazed me. And this is also to the point where they're all good tools in their own different ways.
Oh, yeah, of course, if they're utilized correctly.
Yeah. And there was one instance where I didn't know that was what Twitter was for. I remember we must have been in Boston, I think. And it was, I don't know if you were there, but it was definitely me, Dan, Pete, Ryan, maybe. And I remember like a lot of cop cars and ambulances and stuff going around outside. I was like, what the hell happened? And Pete just looked at his phone. He's like, oh yeah, it was this happened up the street. Because I don't know if it was a hashtag or what, but he was able to look up the area on Twitter, and there's all these people posting updates.
Yeah.
Right. So Twitter was a really good tool for finding out what was happening right there at exactly that moment. It blew my mind. I was like, I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, and that's when it can be useful for stuff like that. And just like, I feel for the most part, it's just used to spread hate and try to make people jealous of your life.
There's a lot of that.
Like, lots of hate is spread. Like, burner accounts, just harassing people online. Like, you hear a lot of people, like comedians and stuff like that on their podcast talk about it. And like, yeah, I had to take a break from Twitter. It became too much. Like, I can't open my inbox because it's just a toxic cesspool. It's
hard to... So back to what you were saying, though, about posting and promoting yourself, right? Mm-hmm. It's such a double-edged... I don't know if this is what double-edged sword means, but it is such a thing where, for example, there is that component of it where you're clearly being narcissistic, egotistical, and you want validation. But at the same time, it does accomplish something. Getting validation is useful, and most people use it, frankly, to get attention from the opposite sex or whoever they're interested in.
100%.
Right? Like, if you're single and you're posting, you're basically hoping that attractive people are going to look at it and think better of you.
My social media usage has shot through the roof.
There it is.
Yeah. Like,
no, that's what it is. Actually, if I think about it, when I was using social media the most was when I was dating the most. Because you're just trying to open up all these avenues to meet people and attract them. Yeah,
just get that one that you post. You know, I post a picture of Ollie. Hopefully I get a message from someone like, oh, he's so cute. There's my opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can't really say much when I'm over here making fun of social media and I'm doing exactly...
I remember I looked at your social media and not too long ago, there's a nice picture of your abs.
This was a while ago. This was 2017.
You were definitely trying to attract somebody there.
100%. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, I used to be overweight. Look at me now. Yeah. And I'm sure now that I'm dieting, I'll post another one of those pictures in a couple months.
Sure you will. So yeah, it's kind of like...
And I want you to call me out for it.
I certainly will.
Yeah.
But like, we kind of... I don't know. It depends on the mood you're in, right? Like, I don't know. Sometimes in the mood for it, I just look at it and like, I kind of like other people's posts. And then sometimes I look at it and just like, I fucking hate everybody. I open my Instagram, I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. I fucking hate this girl.
Yeah.
Screw you for posting that. I don't know. It just depends on my mood, you know?
Just super cynical.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I get that. It's just the mood you're in. If you're going through a period of depression, you're going to see everything on Instagram and say, man, I wish my life was that good. Mm-hmm. Be really mopey about it. But you always got to remember that most people aren't actually living that life.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I would almost say like 95% of the time that's the case. They just post the good things. No one's posting, hey, getting evicted, hit me up.
Why would you?
Exactly. You're going to post, like, hell, new apartment. You're not going to post, you got kicked out of your last one.
I really can't think of any example of anyone I know in my life that You look at their social media and you think they would be this way, but they're never like that.
No. And I've always been like, oh, they're super cool. Like, I'm like nervous to meet this person or something. You meet that person, you're like, you're a fucking nerd just like me.
It's just never like that.
Never.
And I've even had this experience. This is interesting. Tell me if you had this. I'll meet somebody with a really impressive social media. Like, in Bali especially, there's so many influencers and shit.
Oh, yeah,
like,
I can imagine.
I went on a date with a girl that had like 100 and something thousand followers.
Wow.
And I found that out because we met on Tinder, and I looked her up before the date, and I was like, wow, this girl, wow, she's... And I built her up in my head as this really impressive person.
Did it psych you out like a lot before you went? Because I would have been
way
shitting
more
my
nervous
face.
than I normally would have been. Right?
I would have been so nervous.
And she looks super hot in her pictures, right?
Yep.
I meet her, and it's not like she's... I don't know, maybe she does use a lot of filters, but she was still good looking.
Yeah.
But if I just saw that girl, I wouldn't have even thought...
Oh, she must have, like...
She just looks like a normal girl.
Yeah.
Right? So then I kind of knew that about her, right? Mm-hmm. And now it's been several months since I even talked to her. And now my thinking, my image of her actually reverts back to her profile, because that's what I see all the time. Now, again, I think of her as this impressive person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, completely.
Like, you actually kind of forget. Like, you meet someone, you're like, oh, they're not like their Instagram. But then if you haven't seen them in a while, you can kind of think they are again.
Because that's all you know of them at the point.
Yeah, that's what you're exposed to.
Yeah, maybe they did turn it around and they are this person now, but they're not.
This could even happen with your friends or family if you haven't seen them in a little bit. They always post. That's what happens all the time, actually. If I've been using social media for a lot, if I've used it, and then I meet family members, whatever, they say, oh, looks like you're having an amazing time. You're doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, well, sometimes. Like,
Yeah.
like, if I post one cool picture every 2 months, it looks like I'm having an amazing time.
Yeah.
When I could be just laying in bed 79 days out of 80.
Yeah, and honestly, like, when I look at your profile, like, when you were living in Bali, and we weren't, like, talking as much as we talk now, obviously, but I was like, man, Kyle's got the life.
Yeah, and I was doing cool stuff sometimes, but the vast majority of the time I was just sitting in bed watching Netflix and jerking off.
But what a better place to sit in bed and jerk off and watch Netflix than in Bali.
Maybe, but I wasn't living the life you thought I was. If you're looking at my social media, you think, wow, he's out every day, surfing every day. But
Yeah.
Not really. Just doing the same stuff.
Do you think if you weren't depressed, you would be living more of that life? Like you?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, when I'm in a better mood, I do more stuff, of course.
I mean, I feel like you always want what you don't have, right? So I'm sure, like, right now, I want your life. I want to go move to Bali, especially after we were just looking at apartments. I want to go to Bali. But who knows? When I'm there, I could be like, man, I really miss Coventry. I miss the winter. I miss, like... Actually, no, fuck that. I'll never miss the winter.
Well, no, I can give you the perfect counter. Like, sure, I like a lot of parts about my life, but... I've been thinking a lot more about money and finances lately, and I even think about you. I think, wow, you got a really good, steady, stable job. I wish I had that.
Yeah, you always want what you don't have. And I like, it's just tough because finding that like happy medium where you're just happy where you are and making the best of that, that's your best bet. You made this choice. This is the life you wanted to live. You're living it. Continue on and do it. You know what I mean? You made that choice of, I want to go to Bali. I want to like really take advantage of my time here on Earth. Right, I feel like a lot of the times I'm wasting away working Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, commuting back and forth, spending most of my free time like cooking for today and lunch for tomorrow and like just doing monotonous tasks where I don't have that, oh, I'll just go do this today. You know, like I envy that. But at the same time, I feel like I'd be like, man, I wish I had some more cash to like go buy this because like I do like nice things. You know what I mean? So it's just...
Well, what we're talking about really, we're talking about making the most out of life, but we're also talking about happiness, right?
Yeah.
There's something that blew my mind about happiness. I saw it on a TED Talk like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It was about happiness. And it was this study they did of people. It was like a multi-year long study. So they asked people what their happiness level was, you know, whatever, in 1995. Mm-hmm. And then they asked them again in 2005 or whatever. It was a long study.
And it was these same people?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And what they found was your happiness kind of stays the same regardless of what happens to you. And they found this because some people won the lottery. You know, there's a big group of people, right?
Yeah.
So some of those people won the lottery. Others were paralyzed for life. And what they found was it doesn't really matter what happens to you. You end up reporting the same level of happiness. Like people who won the lottery were basically as happy as they were before they won the lottery. And people that ended up paralyzed were basically the same happiness as they were before they were paralyzed. And that sounds ridiculous.
It does sound absurd.
But it's kind of true.
So they asked them 1995, 2005.
I made up those dates, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So it was like
time.
okay. So my theory is they were judged on their happiness in that first initial test, right? And then these events happened, and so much time had passed that they grew comfortable with their current circumstances, whether it was good or bad. So at the point when they got asked the second time around, they were like, "Oh yeah, I'm this happy."
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
It's,
you can grow into whatever lifestyle you choose.
It's more, yes. It's about adaptation, and it's also about your outlook. If you're a pessimistic person, then it doesn't matter how positive your life is or how negative it is. You're always going to feel the same way. So if you're having your normal day, you're going to be like, "Oh, my normal day sucks," right?
Yep.
If you go on a beautiful vacation, you're gonna feel excitement for a little bit, but then you're going to find things to be upset about. You're going to be like, oh, well, the air conditioner's not working the right way, or, oh, the taxi took too long, right? But if you're an optimist, the same thing happens. If you're living your normal life, you say, oh, I had a good day today. I'm looking forward. So no matter what happens to you, like if you get paralyzed and you're an optimistic person, you say, oh, well, I'm paralyzed, but I can still make the best of it. If you're pessimistic, you had all your motion, but you're like, my life kind of sucks. And then you get paralyzed and you're like, oh, my life still sucks.
That makes a lot of sense. I never really think of it that way, where you just like adjust to what your current circumstances are and you just roll with it. And whether you're a pessimist or optimist, you'll live with it.
And that's been my experience moving. I've moved a bunch of different times. I moved first to Texas, then Mexico, Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia. It's a bunch of countries, right?
Yeah.
And every time I've done it, I get an initial boost of, this is awesome.
This is the place I want to be, yeah. Right?
And you do get a flood of new experiences if you go somewhere new, because you will go out and do things that you wouldn't have done. Right?
Yeah.
You got to find new restaurants. Even when I went to Mexico, like the first time I went to a grocery store was cool. I was like, wow, I did a grocery store in Mexico.
Yeah.
But then after a couple of weeks or a month or whatever it is, you fall into routines. And then, well, for me anyway, I was about the same amount of happiness as I was in Texas or here. And that happens everywhere I go. So unless you kept traveling, which would also be annoying in different ways, traveling kind of sucks too.
That's I love going on vacation, but I don't want to go to the airport. I don't want to check a bag. I don't want to get on a plane.
So my point is, it all balances out. You're just going to be as happy as you are, pretty much.
Do you think you feel that way because you're always looking for something new? Do you think you're always looking for like this new challenge, this new adventure? Because there are some people that always they're looking for the next thing. Like, okay, I have this. Get comfortable with it. Okay, done with that. Let's go get something else now.
But I'm not even really like that a lot of the time. And even right now, so I've been living in Bali. That's where I basically live for over a year, right? And I kind of faced this decision recently, should I go somewhere new, challenge myself again? But then I think, well, Bali's so good. I just want to be home in Bali. So Bali has become my new comfort zone. Whereas, if I were to go somewhere new, like China or anywhere really, I would have that new challenge. It's not challenging for me to be in Bali anymore. It's my new comfort zone.
No, that feels like home to you now.
Yeah.
That's where you feel comfortable. You know the streets. You know where the restaurants. There's a familiarity there, and that's why it feels like home to you. And
while I do know that if I went somewhere new, I would definitely expand as a person. You have new experiences, right?
Yeah, it's like you're leveling yourself up.
But it's scary and it's uncomfortable. So I'd rather just go back to Bali. So I'm actually not the type of person that always wants to do something new. I kind of do it when the situation's right. I don't know.
So how often were you moving around before Bali? Because you were in Texas for a few years, right?
5 or 6, I think.
5 or 6 years?
I think so.
Okay. And then Mexico for how long?
2 months.
Really? So yeah, that is wild. I feel like at 2 months you barely know the area. You're barely feeling familiar. Do you ever felt like you didn't have a home? Did you ever feel at home in any of these other places?
I'll tell you what
Texas,
it was.
I'm sure.
I'll tell you what it was. I wanted to go to Thailand, right?
Yep.
But I was scared because it was far. So Mexico was like a trial run. I was never really trying to get, I don't know, I tried to get the most, quote unquote, out of Mexico, but it wasn't really where I wanted to be.
Yeah.
So no, I did not feel at home really in Mexico.
Yeah.
Just as I was getting used to it, that's when I left and went to Thailand, right? And I loved it there, so I stayed there for as long as possible. And then when I encountered, that's what it was, yeah. I kind of had to leave Thailand because they only let you stay there half of the year.
Really?
Some people have different luck than others. Some people have actually gotten kicked out for staying too long. And I'm not even talking about overstaying visas. You just can't go there that often without them being you can't come here.
Really?
So I found Bali as an answer to that problem. So it wasn't even me being I want to find a new place. It was just I had to.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I interpreted it as, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to go somewhere else. But you were just I did a trial. I went somewhere. They kicked me out. And now I'm here. But that's kind of cool, though. Like the going with the flow, just see what happens and make the best of it where you end up. I remember a couple weeks ago, I had told you I had a friend that traveled to Puerto Rico, and you were instantly like, can we go to Puerto Rico right now? Because you were dying to get out of the United States.
Yep.
It's not a great place to be right now.
It's one of the worst, in my opinion.
I don't want to be here anymore.
That's the funny thing. Like, sometimes certain friends, they'll message me about places when I am there, like in Indonesia. Aref's brother Bashar is like, do they even have electricity there? Just making kind of like
it
jokes.
Seems like a third world.
Yes, making jokes, but also kind of like, and it's like, dude, it's better here than it is in the USA.
So much better. Because me and Pete talk about it a lot, where we just just very jealous of your life. Like we want to go. I can't tell you how many times I've said, fuck it, I'm just gonna hit up Kyle, see if he wants to hang, and I'm gonna go live in Bali. It seems so fun.
It's just cheaper and better weather and better everything. Yes, it's pretty good.
Okay, so I guess my next goal is to get a remote job where I can work from anywhere, collect the salary I would make in the United States, move to Bali, and literally live like a king.
It's a good goal.
I think that's the plan.
It just depends what's keeping you here, too, because...
Absolutely nothing at the moment.
Well, there you go, then.
Ollie. I have my dog.
Okay, there you go.
That's literally the only thing.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, like, a lot of people say they would want to do it, but they don't really want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have, like, some close family ties, but, like, my immediate family, like, I don't talk to them, so it's like, well, what's keeping me here?
Just Ollie, and then just, you got your friends. You got your jiu-jitsu guys, you got Pete.
Pete's an asshole, though. No, I just wanted to bring it up organically. Cut that out, Jake. Me and Kyle are playing a game. Okay, don't cut that out. Leave it in. Leave it in. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Leave it in.
I think it's about even right now. All right, anyway.
I started out hot, though. I started out real hot.
You really did.
You're catching up. Okay, back on track. So, back to you wanting to move to Puerto Rico, because that's something I would totally be down for in the future.
It's just, I would pretty much just go anywhere where it's hot and relatively cheap. I would go anywhere like that, basically. And Puerto Rico sounded good in the moment because I'd never been there, and, well, I didn't know it was open. And I guess it's open right now.
My friend just went there, so it must be.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
I don't know. I'm going to go check it out when he moves down there, because he's moving down there for a couple of years for work. And he said, I always have a place to stay, so I'm going to take full advantage of that.
Nice.
And then, who knows, maybe potentially move down there myself. Who the fuck knows? We'll see.
Who the fuck knows?
It comes back to our conversation a few episodes ago. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Do not know. A million things could happen between now and then that completely change my life course.
Certainly. So you're always the one that's very polite, and you ask me how my week was. I'm going to ask you this time. How's your week? How's your dick?
Dick's good. Dick is really good. Operating at full capacity. Interpret that how you want.
I would interpret that as optimum hardness. Optimum hardness and reliability. It's not doing things you don't want it to do.
Exactly. We're in sync.
Yeah, that's good.
We're in sync. So, yep, the dick pills are working for anyone who is curious. I'm your plug if you need dick pills. These aren't illegal testosterone pills, by the way, so don't arrest me. How's your dick, by the way? Because you're taking them now, too. Are you taking 2 a day?
I almost stopped taking... I almost gave you the dick pills back.
Why?
My dick was getting too hard.
No, it wasn't. You're so full of shit.
No. See, I almost did stop taking them, though. I was, no lie, I was getting awful heartburn like 3 days in a row.
They taste like maple syrup.
They taste like celery or acorns or something. It's a weird taste.
It's maple syrup, because I took one, and then 3 hours later, I was helping someone at work. I'm wearing a nice new cologne, by the way.
Sure.
And she goes, you smell like, and I went, what do I smell like? And she goes, maple syrup. And I go, that's fucking awful. Like, that's not what I was going for.
And it was the vitamin.
Yeah, and it smells and tastes like maple syrup.
Do you get any indigestion? Do you burp a little bit after or anything?
No.
See, I'm actually confused. I don't know what it was, but I really was getting awful heartburn for like 4 days straight. I even stopped because I really thought it was this. It was the only thing I changed.
Okay.
So I stopped taking the pill for a couple days. My heartburn went away. And then I started taking it again, and it hasn't come back. So I don't know. But for a couple days, I thought the pill was giving me heartburn. I was like, "Fuck this."
Yeah.
But no, it's been okay. I haven't really noticed any difference. I'm not gonna say my dick's perfect. I'll say it's like it's trying its best.
Scale of 1 to 10.
I'm just doing self experiments lately, but I would say it's been around like a 8.5 or 9. I can't complain.
Self experiences lately. Oh my god.
Well, so one of the things it promotes, right, is libido, right?
Yeah.
That's how much you want it, right? So the other night I was like, I started to, right, have an experiment.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm going to jerk off now.
Okay.
But then I was like, not really that into it, right? I'm just looking at the stuff. I'm like, eh.
Do you think the depression is fighting off the big dick pills?
The depression's been kind of mild lately. I'm not going to say it's anything like that.
You felt better though?
Yeah.
Yeah, because actually you weren't like really in a bad spot when we first started this, but
I was worse, certainly.
You were worse, but yeah, it seems like since we started this, I know my experience, I've felt a lot better, and I don't know if it's just because openly talking into a mic about my problems is therapeutic. I think, like, no word of a lie, like, after we sit down and we have these conversations, like, I feel like a weight lifts almost. Like, the same feeling I got almost with meditation when I finished and I finally took that breath in, and you just feel that rush over your body. Like, I feel that after we record these episodes. So this has been, like, super helpful for me.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it's just like, it's something that forces you to kind of pay attention to the present moment. You're engaged right now, and I am too, right?
Yeah.
It's the opposite of, again, it's like the opposite of just scrolling social media. We're actually doing something.
Exactly. And like, how often do you get to sit down with like a good friend and just have an open dialogue for like we've been going for like an hour?
It always feels really good. And like, I'm the type of person where I can go a long time without socializing, and I just don't like it sometimes, right? So even though I've been home for a while, I haven't even really hung out with my friends that much.
No.
Part of the depression, right?
Yeah.
But then, like, seeing people, like seeing you, seeing Pete, seeing Sudo and Costa, I always feel like rejuvenated afterwards. I'm like, oh, I should do that more. Right?
But yeah, that feeling wears off, and then you just, a week goes by and you're like, yeah, I'm gonna hang at home.
Exactly. In
the moment, it's great.
We know what makes us feel good and what's better for us, but it's just so hard to do for some reason. The things that are better for us are harder, it seems like.
It really is so much harder. Even now, like, I'm kind of in like a mode where I'm like, okay, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be training as often as possible. I'm going to get in great shape. And like, even yesterday, like, I was excited for jiu-jitsu all day, and it got closer and closer. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, I could just sit on the couch and like be lazy and just watch something. Mm-hmm. But like, I've been like, okay, you're going. I've been on one of those kicks where I like going.
That's what you need, man. And that's called momentum. It's going to get easier and easier, right? Like the first time you went to jiu-jitsu after a long time, that's the hardest it's ever going to get, right?
Yeah.
And you go the next time, it's a little bit easier. Next time, a little bit easier, until it's like, the best is when it's just automatic. And I've gone through phases like that. Like the last really hard training phase I went through, like gym-wise, I was going with my friend Matt in Bali. We're going 6 days a week minimum. And it wasn't even a question. I just got up and went to the gym. Like there was no decision to be made. I just did it.
And you know what?
That's where you want to be.
Is so awesome about things like lifting and jiu-jitsu. You can see your progress. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like you go back one night after a long time, you just get your ass kicked all night, right? Then the next time you go, you know, you're starting to feel like I'm picking back up what I knew before. I just need to keep polishing it and keep learning. And then eventually you get in a groove and you're like, oh, I noticed I was doing this move correctly, and like I was pinching my knees, and like you start picking up on this progress, and you can just ride that wave. But it's important to ride that wave and keep that momentum going, because it's so easy to also say, oh, people wanted to hang out, or like, oh, I'll go disc golfing instead, or I'll go do this instead. And you lose that momentum in that one area where you're really cruising, you know?
You know what I think happens for me anyway? Because it happens every time. Because you start to do things again, right? Like I'm starting to train again, right?
Yeah.
Gym anyway. And it starts to feel good. And I go, why did I stop? Why do you get into a groove and then stop? And I think what happens is you get to a level where you're like happy, you're impressed with yourself. You're like, I'm doing good. And then you get complacent. It's right at that moment where you're kind of happy with yourself that you just go, well, I don't need to go every day anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I've been killing it lately. Why do I could take a day if I want.
And then all of a sudden you just don't care anymore. Like it just slips out of your fingers. I think that's what's happened to me.
Yeah, because that one day turns into like 3 days. Like, oh, I'm going to take the week. You know what? I'm a little sore. You try to rationalize it.
You know what? I never read this book, but I heard people talk about it. It's something about the valleys or the plateaus or something.
Yeah.
But it was about practicing anything, whether it's musical instrument or athleticism. Basically, you go through different periods. When you first start, you get a huge boost because you're learning so much every time you do it. You're getting so many benefits, especially like, let's say you're lifting weights for the first time. The newbie gains are the best gains in your life.
The best gains.
Right? If you're squatting, you can go up 30 pounds every week. But the better you get at it, the less incremental benefits you get. So what happens is you hit a plateau. And as soon as you hit a plateau, that's when it gets harder to keep going, because all of a sudden what was exciting has gotten boring and more difficult. So right now, even, you know, you're starting again with something and I'm starting again, and now we're seeing those gains again. So now it's fun.
Yeah.
Right. So it's actually going to get harder the longer it goes, in a way.
And I noticed that with powerlifting, because like I did that for maybe like 4 or 5 years. I'm terrible with time, so I could completely be getting that wrong. But I remember I would run a 6-week program and test new PRs every 6 weeks. I think it was 6. It was the Johnny Candido program. It's great for beginners. If someone's like, hey, I want to try powerlifting, look up the Johnny Candido 6-week strength programming. No free ads. But I would be like, oh yeah, I added 40 pounds to my squat. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Here comes an 1,000-pound squat soon.
Yeah.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
And then eventually you start getting up to that heavy weight, and it's like, okay, if I can get 5 extra pounds on the bar after this 6 weeks of training, that's a win.
Yeah, you can even they divide your experience level into beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And a beginner can make huge gains for several months. When you're advanced, you might be like let's say building muscle, right?
Yeah.
A beginner could possibly build like 20 pounds of muscle in a year. I think it's something like that.
I think you're correct.
An advanced guy might be lucky to get half a pound of muscle in a year because he's almost reached his potential.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you take steroids.
Yeah. So that dedication level to keep going, even though you're seeing so little returns.
But you have to work that hard to maintain what you worked for in the past.
Exactly. That's the trick.
I feel like if you get to that point, usually it's part of your life now, though. It's not just like something you do as like a hobby or fun. Like it is what you do.
That's a good point. Yeah, because all the guys I've met that are like really fit,
yeah,
they're just that guy now.
Their whole life revolves around it.
I'd say I've met 2 guys like that. I have one friend, Andrea, in Bali, and then one friend, Otto, in Bangkok, and both of them are like jacked as fuck and ripped. And that's just how they are now.
Yep.
They're like that year round. They will never miss a gym session. It just is not fathomable to them.
No, they could never. And you go out to eat with them, like
Yeah.
you go to like a nice restaurant, like, oh, they have this great stuff. They're like, I'll take chicken and rice.
Exactly. Yeah.
They don't want to try the other stuff. Like they'll just take the
exactly
chicken and rice. It's a lifestyle commitment if you want to reach that level.
You're exactly right. And I just haven't been like that. Maybe that's what separates you from the next level.
It is what separates you. You need to be able to dedicate your life to it. But that's the thing with me. Like, as much as I love these things, I want to be able to enjoy other things in life as well. I don't want to be completely tied to this. Like, I'm never going to win an ADCC championship. Okay. I'll stick with local tournaments and I'll enjoy my fat food once in a while.
You got a point there. Yeah, because maybe you just got to accept what level you're going to get to and then be happy with that. Because, like, dude, Otto, for dieting purposes, he will blend chicken.
That's disgusting.
He will, I'm not joking, he'll blend chicken and vegetables and drink it. Like, that's how dedicated he is to his diet. The dude's like 60 and he's ripped as fuck. It's crazy.
Yeah. Did you ever do an Instagram live with him in the gym?
Yeah, you know that guy?
Fucking ripped.
He looks like a superhero, dude.
Yeah,
he's crazy.
And you know what? He could be if he wanted to. Because he has that level of dedication.
Guy is jacked.
That's
60 and super strong and super ripped.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, I like to treat myself.
One more thing about him. You know how you got your ideal macros for building muscle? Like, let's say it's like, I don't know, maybe like 40% protein, 40% fat, 20% carbs.
Yeah.
Otto was perfecting his macros to the point where he's like, well, I don't get enough fat now. And he took shots of olive oil to get enough fat.
He got so wrapped up in it that he knew his body so well that he was like, this is what I'm doing right now. I need a little more fat in my diet because I notice I'm getting a little too skinny. Let me add a couple shots of olive oil. It's like he's doing, just like you, self-experimenting in a different way, though.
In a different way, yeah.
Yeah, you're perfecting masturbation. He's perfecting being healthy and having a ripped body at 60 years old.
When you say it like that, it seems like I've made the wrong choice.
But that's just the kind of guys we are.
Sure.
Fly by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
Where was I going before we talked about Otto?
Oh, you were saying you're never going to be in the ADCC. That reminds me, too. It's like, we do cap ourselves, right? We say, this is what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Right? And you've done that with jiu-jitsu, and like, you could do that with anything. I've done that with writing. I feel like I'm comfortable making X dollars per hour, but not more, right?
Why if you don't have to?
Right. And like, even in weekend league, I know Pete will go for like gold or something like that, and that's like 19 wins, but to get platinum would be like 25. And it's just, he decided that it's not worth the extra effort, right? So you put a cap on yourself, and whether you're comfortable with that or not, that's what determines your satisfaction.
You know, that's the perfect analogy. Pete in Weekend League capping himself at 17 wins because it's not worth it going for 20 based on the reward.
Is that the number? I was pretty damn close with that number.
What did you say?
I said 19, I think.
You could be right. I actually don't know if it's 20.
I have no idea.
This is coming from someone who has 1,000 FIFA games logged.
That's a lot.
That was my deepest depression, probably. Yeah.
A lot of FIFA?
That's literally all I was doing.
Oh.
And it was just like, it consumed my life. When I wasn't playing FIFA here, I was on my phone, opening packs, trying to get cards, doing these squad building, challenging puzzles, just filling up my mind with bullshit. And I think that's what like kind of guided me to where I was.
Dude, I'll tell you this about FIFA, right? I know something's pretty funny for me. I don't know about for everyone else, but it's not what you think it is.
Okay. Okay.
You look so mad at me.
Yeah, I was not happy.
No, I'm not going to do that. So, based on if I know people are in the house or not while I'm playing, that dictates how angry I get. If I know that my family's in the house and I'm losing, I'm going to get angry, but I'll keep it under my breath.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, my mom was out of the house. There was nobody else home, and I'm playing, and I just started screaming. I was like, so angry. I was saying the worst words you can think of, all the racial stuff, mixed in with all like just the worst words I could think of, and just yelling them and like punching the couch. It's just crazy. I'm not trying to either. Just my rage would increase knowing that I'm comfortable being angry because nobody else is in the house with me.
So you said a bunch of words like, which isn't good. You can't say that. You can't say stuff like that, especially in public. And thank God we have a very handsome producer, Jake, who is going to cut that out or bleep it out.
Sorry about that. I just, I kind of had a flashback to it.
Sometimes you just got to let it out.
Yeah.
See, with that, my anger, regardless of who was in the house, I'm screaming. Like, it got me so angry. And
FIFA too?
Yeah, and I didn't like that a video game at the age of 29 was doing that to me mentally, where I could scream and get that frustrated. Because I used to have anger problems as a kid.
Yeah.
And I have not felt any anger in a while, like until I started getting like competitive with FIFA, and it just brought the worst out in me.
I think it's true too, because we talked about that the first time you invited us over here. I think it was me, you, Pete, Fu, and I was just like, I don't think there's a video game that gets me as mad as FIFA. Like, FIFA is especially angering compared to other games, and everybody agreed. Everybody said, yeah, that's true. I don't get as angry when I play Call of Duty, or it's only FIFA that gets me that angry.
Yeah, and sometimes like you can feed off of the other people. Like, I know when I'm playing Weekend League, Pete wouldn't get as mad if I wasn't in the party with him, because he knew how angry I would get, and then I'd get in the party and Pete would just start feeding off of me, and he's yelling. He actually broke a controller. And I think it's important to recognize if something is doing that to you mentally, you need to be able to walk away, and that's exactly what I did.
Is that a message to Pete right now? You're saying that that's not okay?
Pete, we love you. You need...
Speak for yourself.
Pete, I love you. I want you to not be as angry at FIFA, and I think me leaving the game has done wonders for you.
I think it's up to him. I think if he's comfortable breaking controllers and it like brings him joy, then fuck it, why not, right?
Yeah, I guess it's whatever makes you happy at the end of the day. Whatever. Well, I'm glad that part of my life's behind me now and I'm being more active, because I feel so much better and so much more confident now that like I'm losing weight. Like I walk by the mirror and I'm like, oh, you're not a piece of shit anymore. Even if I still do look like a piece of shit, like I've only had like 2 people compliment me on losing weight. And you know what? That is the best feeling in the world when that's what you're trying to do. So I don't know about you, but me personally, if I know someone's dieting and I know they're like trying to lose weight, even if it doesn't look like they lost weight, I'm going to say, hey dude, you looks like you're slimming down a bit. And it's just to put that in their head and give them that extra boost of confidence going forward to keep grinding.
But now that I know that you do that, it's not going to mean as much if you say that. So
you losing weight?
It doesn't count anymore.
You laying off the Stop and Shop cookies?
No, I don't care. I know you're a liar now.
No, but people that need it, you know, people like me, you have always been in relatively good shape. Even you're
not true.
Well, you're chunky. Like you say you're out of shape right now. I think you look good right now.
Oh, well, thank you. But
yeah,
it's all relative, right? But no, that actually is a point that we talked about Sam Harris before with free will.
Yeah.
He has this book called Lying. And the point of it is that it's never beneficial to lie, even what we think of as white lies, even something like that. And that's interesting, too, because I kind of agree with you, and I kind of like that, like encouraging other people that way. But there is a point to be made there where if people get the idea that you will lie or you will exaggerate, they kind of appreciate your opinion less.
Yeah, so I think I kind of just devalued myself by putting it on a
Absolutely.
public platform.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not going to say it anymore.
I wouldn't, yeah. And it's a really good book, too. I highly recommend it to anyone that's interested because he says even the lies that we think are good do exactly that. They devalue our integrity. Like, for example, he mentions, like, let's say you have an artist friend who sends you a song and they ask you what you think of it. Usually, whether you like it or not, you're going to say, yeah, it's good.
Yeah, sounds
right?
good.
You're going to say something nice.
Just like people probably saying, dude, love the podcast. And they're like just fast forwarding through the whole thing.
Right. But Sam Harris argues that he's not that type of person anymore. He's changed his life and he will say it's not good. And he says that people get more out of that. And when you actually do tell them it's good, now they know you're telling the truth. Because they see you as a person with integrity. But whereas if you're the type of person that always kind of just says the convenient truth, people respect it a little less. Even when like people ask you to do something you don't feel like you want to do it.
Yeah.
Our normal inclination is kind of make up a white lie, right? Say, no, I have to take my family or do some bullshit. Right?
Not feeling good today, can't make it.
But if you think about the people in your life like that, don't you kind of respect them less? Like, what if they just said, no, I don't want to?
Fu does that to me and Pete a lot, and it really bothers me. He will, he'll just flat out say no, but he will do the white lie once in a while, and I feel like I appreciate it more when he just says, hey, man, not feeling it.
Perfect example.
Because there were multiple times where I asked him to come chill, and every single time he was like, my brother is leaving tonight.
Every time.
And I was like, dude, your brother's been leaving for 2 weeks. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
So I appreciate it more when you shoot it straight. So I guess that's a really good point. Yeah, but you lose a lot of friends that way, I feel. Like, some people can't take criticism. You got to be careful who you give the criticism to.
That's another point he made. He said there's a lot of friendships that have been hanging on by lies for years. And what would you really be losing if you lost that friendship?
Absolutely nothing.
So there you go.
But the narcissist inside of us wants a yes man.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not what you should have.
I have examples in my life of people that I hung on to for a long time, and I would feel immense guilt if I didn't feel like I saw them enough or gave them enough attention or whatever. But the truth was that we just didn't really like each other that much anymore, right? We were kind of both forcing it.
It was like a surface level friendship.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
You can't sit down and have like a conversation like this with them. It's just like a, hey, dude, what's up? Hey, nothing. You like this show. Oh, I like this show. Let's talk about this show. Like, do you actually, when you boil that person down, do you actually like them and value them? And
it's not even about like, I would never say they're a bad person or whatever. It's just like...
Not your person. Not your type of person.
It's, maintaining whatever it is that we think we're maintaining is costing this much energy. Whereas we'd probably both just feel better if you just let it go. Like, you don't have to, you know?
How many times, like, this happens, I feel like all the time to everybody, where there's someone you used to be really good friends with, and, you know, you start talking on one of these toxic social media platforms, and you're just chatting away, and you're like, oh, we should hang out sometime, right? And then in the moment, it seems like a good idea, and then if they actually text you and ask to hang out, you're like, fuck.
Yeah, dude, exactly.
Dude, like,
that's the funniest
fuck.
thing. That's the funniest thing. That's a really good example.
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'd love to chill. We used to have so much fun. And then it comes down to it, I'm like, fucking cancel.
You know what usually happens with me?
What?
This happened a lot of times. Even since I've been home this time. Either I'll message them or they'll message me and say, hey, man, it'd be really good to catch up.
Yeah.
Right? And we agree.
Yeah.
But then neither one of us reaches out to each other.
Yeah.
So clearly we didn't really mean it. Because one of us would reach out.
Yeah, you're just putting it out there to seem like, hey, man, we were cool. Glad to see you're doing well. Let's keep in touch.
Yes, and that is your, like, I guess it's a people-pleasing instinct, or...
I think that's what it is. You just want to be like, oh, yeah, see, I have good...
Yeah, and you probably both like the idea of each other. Like, you don't... It would be sadder to, like, say, no, we're not friends anymore, right?
Yeah, because...
So you want to, like, kind of tell yourself and each other that you are... And you kind of, I don't know, it's just not really true anymore.
Imagine if you were having that small talk and you're like, dude, keep in touch. And they were just like, no, I don't think I will. I don't think I will.
Yeah.
Oh, I appreciate your honesty.
Dude, that's tough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I've never been put to the test like that.
I think you're a good example because you're in and out, right?
Uh-huh.
You come and go. So next time someone messages you and they're like, Kyle, we had so much fun in high school. Like, I'm so glad you're in town.
Yeah.
Let's meet up sometime.
No.
You know, I don't think I will.
Nah.
Yeah, no explanation, just no thank you. And see how that goes.
Man, that's an excellent point. And in that book, Sam Harris even says, like, he's always looking for examples of, you know, when it might be hard. And this is a really good example. But I think his point stands. Like,
Yeah, because you're wasting your time.
You really are. But it's so hard to do, isn't it?
Because you don't want to be that asshole.
Nobody wants to be that asshole.
Because then they're going to go say, you know what, I messaged fucking Kyle the other day. And you know what? I said, let's get together. And he said, no, thank you.
But by doing that, you just saved both of you a lot of time and energy.
Yeah. And you know what? Personally, if I heard that story, I'd be like, fucking power move.
That's badass.
That guy. He knows what he wants.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it decreases the public's perception of you and increases in certain cases.
You know, in that same book, he gives one example. He says, Sam Harris says he's with his friend at the pool. His friend's another, you know, older white guy, like 35 or something. And he says, do you think I'm fat? And Sam goes, nobody would call you fat. But if I were you, I'd want to lose about 25 pounds.
Oh, my God. And
he says the guy took it well, and he ended up losing like 15 pounds.
So not the full 25.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sam said, you look good, but
Yeah.
I would still lose 10 more pounds.
He told him the truth, basically.
And I like friends like that.
But that's fucking hard to do, isn't it?
No, it is. But like, I feel like I don't really have friends that'll tell me like, hey, you're getting fat. They'll just say, no, you're like, they'll dance around it.
But you would kind of appreciate it, right?
Yeah. Like that's what got me to lose weight in the first place after high school. I had people that were bullied for being overweight. Mm-hmm. Even if it was friendly bullying, it was like within a friend group. Don't hang out with any of those people anymore.
Depends on where it's coming from, right? I guess you can kind of tell when they mean well for you and when they want you to succeed in life versus when they're trying to put you down. Right?
Yeah, and in this instance, it seemed like they were like putting me down. It would like just like not like, hey, fatty. It would just be like a remark like, oh yeah, Bullock would crush that whole box. Like when it came to like,
yeah, that's not nice.
Yeah, so that's where I was like, I don't want to be that guy that is looked at as the fat friend.
Yeah, and in this example too, it's not like Sam Harris was just like, hey, you're getting pretty fat.
No, someone asked him a question.
Asked him a question,
and he gave him an honest answer. And I think,
and just to wrap that up too, sorry.
No, that's right.
If I was cutting you off, he kind of says, if you don't tell the truth in that moment, if you give them a convenient white lie, you're depriving them of necessary information. Like he uses the example of what if that friend is really looking to date, and he says, do I look good? And you lie and you say, yeah. You're reinforcing possible delusions in his head. You're denying him access to your reality. And what is friendship and relationships besides like mutual truth, right?
Yeah.
If we're friends, you want to know what I'm thinking and I want to know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
So if I ask you something and you lie because it's nice to me, you know, on one level, I can kind of appreciate it. But on another level, it's like, well, I guess he's not really that good of a friend. As
a friend, I'm not helping you at all. Exactly. I'm not helping you progress and better yourself as a person. I'm just making you feel good in the moment. And
wouldn't that be like what fake friends are? Like friends that kind of act nice to each other, but they don't really care about it. That's exactly the definition of fake friends, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want those friends that are going to challenge you and say, hey, listen, you really need to get your shit together. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I think society would benefit if there was more honesty that way and people would stop being so delusional. So all this tells me now is you're pro fat shaming.
That's exactly what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah. We got to tread lightly here.
Nah, fuck it.
So obviously I don't think it's good to bully people, but I do think you need to be like, hey, this is going off the rails a bit.
What example?
Like with fat shaming?
Yeah.
Like even me, like if I'm out of shape, I want friends to say, hey dude, like you were doing really well. Well, like what's going on right now? Like, are you okay? Like, are you making the wrong choices? Like, what are you doing? Like, oh, hey, you're drinking a bit. You're drinking a little too much. Let's stop that before it gets.
I don't want that.
You don't want someone to.
No, I would say unsolicited. No, thank you.
Oh no, unsolicited. Well, it all depends on the situation. If I'm really off the rails, it's a problem, yeah. But if I'm, yeah,
if you're spiraling like and it's like intervention time.
Exactly.
Then,
yeah. That's what I'm saying.
But for an example, I had one friend in Bali who was really brutally honest about my weights, particularly. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and I lost a bunch of weight. And she said, "Hey, you look great," right? Mm-hmm. And I really appreciated it. But then like a couple months later, I gained like 10 pounds and she's like, hey, you're a little bit fat. It's like, fuck you.
Oh, and this is coming from a female too?
Yeah.
That's tough.
It was like, fuck you. But like, and the funny thing is, she didn't mean it poorly. She's just like that brutally honest.
Was there a language barrier kind of?
No. Okay. No. I don't even remember the context, but that's right. She was on the back of my motorbike, right? And her arms around me, and she like pinches my belly, like.
Oh
and I'm
no!
like, fuck you, right?
Oh no!
But the funny thing is, like, that's kind of what she was doing. She was kind of, pointing that out to me. But I didn't need that. I knew it. Like, I didn't need her to point it out. And if anything, it hurt me worse, and it made me feel
less of a person.
It didn't help me at all. Like, if I asked her, have I gained weight, and she said yes, then that's fine.
Okay.
But she did it without me asking for any feedback at all. I was like, fuck you. And I liked her a lot less because of that.
Okay, so I think we've decided on fat shaming if you're asked an opinion.
It depends. Yeah, it depends. I mean, some people would probably welcome that, but personally, I don't want unsolicited advice like that.
Yeah, I get that. Because I know, like, say, like, if we're disc golfing, like me, Pete, Fu, Gannon, and, like, someone just starts coaching up, and it's like, listen, I just want to play. Mm-hmm. Don't correct my form here. Just let me throw the goddamn disc.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar in the way of like, hey, don't tell me I need to exercise right now. I'm just doing my own thing.
Yeah, and especially if you say something like that to someone unsolicited, you're assuming, or you're assuming they don't know already.
Yeah. Right.
There was a great example, and it was a really good friend of mine actually who did this in college. I was pretty depressed, like really depressed, and I never wanted to party. Right. So they would always go out, and I would just be like, nah, I don't feel like going out tonight. Right. And he tried to get like stern with me. He's like, hey, dude, you're like, you're staying in too much. You got to come out with us. And I know he meant the right thing. Mm-hmm. Like, he meant to be helpful and supportive and everything. But I already knew all that. And him pointing it out just made it worse. Yeah. So he was trying to do the right thing, but it really didn't work. And I do appreciate it, but it did not make me feel closer to him.
Yeah, delivery is very important when you're dealing with a situation like that.
Yeah, you got to know your audience, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And if you are actually really good friends with someone, you should know that audience. Yeah. And how are they going to take this criticism? I do want to just circle back a little bit and say we are not pro fat shaming. We're just kidding. So, on to your thought?
No, I guess I was thinking about interventions next. It's like, because that is a very hard example of you're deciding to tell the truth right now, right? Yeah. But I guess that's up to the situation and how bad that person needs it. Like, are you about to ruin your life imminently? I've never been in a situation where I've known anyone like that or done it to myself, so. Yeah. I mean, I've had to do an intervention, not for weight, but drug use, and that didn't go well. Did you? Yeah, didn't work. Really? Yeah. So you did that, like, a few people in a room, and you say... Well, yeah, me and a couple family members showed up to, I'm not going to make it public knowledge, but... the house of the people that were having the problem. And we were like, hey, we want to talk, like, we love you, we want to make sure, what can we do to help you? And did you write out what you were going to say beforehand? No. Hey, have you ever seen the It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia intervention? Yeah. Where they run and they just go, intervention. Yeah. It was kind of like that, but without the yelling. They didn't know we were coming. Yeah, we didn't plan it very well. It is what it is. I think we should wrap there. We can probably segue into this next episode. We will talk to you next time. Thank you. This is life being bound to love.